Hey there, my friends. Welcome to a brand new week. I hope yours is off to a good start so far, whenever you might be watching this. Today, I just wanted to kind of talk about how there are different versions of a plant-based diet and just some of my thoughts on maybe, figuring out the best way for you to do it yourself to be as healthy as possible. There's so many out there that are very dogmatic, and it's almost like everything fits in one box and everybody should fit in this one box. And hey, I'm a live and let live sort of guy. As I put out videos, I never want to preach. I'm not trying to convert people to anything. I'm just kind of sharing what I do and some of my thoughts and some of my processes on doing this. And one thing I'll start out with before I really talk very much is one thing that I would highly, highly recommend, and this is whatever your thoughts are, however you eat, whether you eat like me, whether you eat a little differently than me, whether you eat totally different than me, start aligning with people that you resonate with. In other words, try to seek knowledge that helps you and makes sense to you and that you agree with and you follow, rather than just constantly going around like there's just so many people out there. I see them wasting time in my opinion, because they have these almost religious type beliefs about the specific way they eat, and they can be very, very specific. And they basically, all the content they consume, or all their online activity, is going somewhere else and arguing about it. In other words, this is how you believe, these are your beliefs, instead of learning more about how to, do what you're doing better. They're just out there, arguing like, well, no, that's not right. You shouldn't be eating this. You shouldn't be eating that. And also too, as I'm saying, different versions of a plant-based diet, I'm talking about a whole food plant-based diet. Not talking about the junk food, not talking about the processed food. So when we break it down to different versions of a whole food plant-based diet, I'm sorry, I can only believe what I believe. I may not be right, but I just can't believe there's this one little very, very tiny specific version is the one right way. And all those other versions of a plant-based diet are just, useless, or they're dangerous, or they're this or that. Personally, for me, I'm thinking about nutrition all the time. I might be a little bit obsessive about that. I might be a little bit nuts about that because of, my former lifestyle and how badly I treated my body. And as I'm getting older, I'm 59, and 60, I guess I'm about halfway through the year to being 60. I focus on nutrition, and I focus on what I think I need to be taking in nutrition-wise. So that's what fuels every bit of my day, like my decisions. I just had a green smoothie. So now certain things are out of the way there. I'm always about green. I'm always about fruit. The base of it, I have a lot of fruit. I don't have as much fruit as I have in the tropics. And let's talk about that for a minute and talk about specific, location-specific plant-based diet. I'm sorry, one diet doesn't fit all over the world either, in my opinion. Yes, I ate a lot more fruit when I was in the tropics. That's just common sense. I had fruit everywhere. I had a fruit literally when I lived in the little beach town, little surf town of Playa Jaco, where I lived for most of the time there. And I lived for at least 3 of those years while I was vegan, 3 or 4 years. Oh, and even in the city, there was always fruit. There was always fruit everywhere. I could walk outside when I lived in San Jose, Costa Rica, and I couldn't go 50 feet without seeing some little kiosk that had everything: pineapple, papaya, mango, guava, passion fruit, and I'm missing a lot of other fruits, plus there was other fruits I got at the market. So down there, yes, there was fruit everywhere. Fruit was in abundance. It was hot all the time. So I ate a lot more fruit there than I did here in the States. That doesn't mean I feel like I'm not eating the right way for myself here. One thing that I have developed is I believe I do focus on my nutrition a little bit more since I've been back in the States. And maybe that's because, listen, I'm just going to tell you, I love you guys that are fruitarians. I love everybody, but I'm not a fruitarian. And for me, I just don't think I'm getting everything I need when I'm just eating all fruit. So I get up here, like I said, another thing though that has carried over from Costa Rica that's been very important to me from the beginning is greens. So I'm always trying to get greens. I eat a lot of kale. I eat my salads. I haven't been eating as many salads lately because I had a sore spot in my mouth, but dentist checked it out. It's okay now, and back to that. Bone health for me, another thing too, when you're talking about different versions of a plant-based diet, age, lifestyle, what is your health as it stands right now? I was talking to somebody this weekend, and one of the big things I focus on now is getting to be an older person is bone health. So that's why I'm always looking at that sources of calcium, like my chia seeds, like my greens, like my kale. Like even I drink almond milk. I mean, I'm not great. It is kind of the processed stuff, but I do drink almond milk from time to time. I'm focusing that I'm getting the magnesium and getting those combinations of things that we need for strong bones. Living where I live, I also believe, when you live somewhere, eat the things that are specific to that area, that are kind of from that area. I eat lots of sweet potatoes. Another green that I get in, and I guess the raw people, this is what I say every time I talk about collard greens. It's not quite the same, raw people. I love all of you, and like I was talking to Raw Food Romance Melissa this weekend, her nutrition's on point. We're right there with each other. We just do it a little bit differently. But collard greens, and some people say, "Ooh, I love my wraps." They make wraps out of collard greens. Well, that just takes one leaf. That's not a lot. I eat a lot of collard greens. Like I'll go buy a big bag and I'll eat, like a big, huge serving, because there's tons of calcium in that, and there's so many good features in that as well. But that's just things that I eat around here. The collard greens, the different kinds of greens. I've got some yellow squash over there. So think about that as well too, depending on where you're living. What is the climate where you're living? And also too, I know this is tough because people can't necessarily just pick up and move to the tropics or pick up and move somewhere, and I'm just picking out a state. Don't tell me, oh, Minnesota. I'm like, in Minnesota, you're trying to be a fruitarian in Minnesota. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. Or you're trying to be fully raw, or you're doing this or that. Yes, it is possible, but for the love of God, why? Why? If that's your jam, if you're a fruitarian, or if I've got to eat this very, very, very raw version of it, go somewhere where that is a little bit more specific to you and where that kind of stuff is more available. Because even as somebody that eats like that, you will thrive more if you're where you can get more of that stuff, and you're not always looking in this market, oh, I got a mango today in this market. No, you live somewhere where you can go and have your choice, and you can walk away from the market with 20 mangoes. So I think, I don't want to just be long-winded and just keep going over and over, but I think, like I say, if you will do that basic version that, Esselstyn and all those guys promote, the SOS, the salt, oil, sugar-free. And when I say that, I'm talking about processed sugar. And when I say oil-free, I'm saying mostly oil-free. I'm not a fanatic. I use olive oil from time to time. I have reasons to use it. And the same with salt. I will put a little pinch of salt in something because I really don't get enough sea vegetables where I feel I get a good source of iodine. I do get some sea vegetables and I include them in my salads, but I'll just put like the littlest bit of a pinch. So when I say SOS free, like I say, I'm not like trying to be a religious person that is like, you've sinned if you have a little bit. I'm just saying those are the things we avoid. You keep your fat relatively low, whatever that means for you. And that, once again, that doesn't have to be this fanatical range. I see some people that basically eat no overt fat. If that works for you, good. Doesn't work for me. But like I say, the one thing, I'll go back to what I said earlier that I want to, if you could take away from this, is just go with what you resonate with. Study like I do. Don't look at comments and don't listen to sensational stuff. Get into Google, get into YouTube, watch things that you disagree with, watch things you agree with. What makes sense to you? And when you figure out what makes sense to you and you figure out, and it's working for you, I feel great, I have energy, my elimination is good. Double down on it and learn more about that and learn how to improve that instead of, like I say, always just being out there to debate something. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you here several times this week. Peace.